MP of UKIP and helped them manage the Brexit campaign. And now she's working to establish a community interest company called the United Indigenous Rights Alliance. And this will be an advocate for the rights of our native population. So can you please welcome Katie Fallon?
Thank you. Demography is destiny. I'm sure you've all heard this evidence saying previously. And what kind of dark, ominous destiny is our current demographic trajectory creating for the white indigenous populations of Great Britain? Well, if you're lucky enough to not yet have had your local area heavily occupied by peoples of foreign origin, then all you need to do is ask those who have for some insight into what your near future holds. Ask your fellow native British, who have been made a vulnerable, persecuted minority in their own home cities and towns, who have been made strangers in the streets that they grew up in, who have watched the home that they knew change beyond recognition, turning into Africanized and Islamified, crime-ridden third-world-like slums, filled with foreign bases and constant foreign hostility. They'll tell you how that area became increasingly run down, dilapidated and dangerous the more foreign invasive identity thieves settled in locally. How everything they knew and cherished in their community was systematically destroyed, desecrated and replaced with some abominations by foreigner and traitorous Marxists before their eyes. Until there was little to nothing left locally that represented or catered for the native British community. So much so, when daring to take a walk through these heavily foreign-occupied areas of our homeland, you could be forgiven for thinking you'd somehow been magically transported to Karachi, Lagos or Mogadishu, just with more wealth and better infrastructure, of course. They'll tell you how it's no longer safe to pop to the local shops in the evening due to roaming gangs of feral African-descended youth that would look for any excuse to assault, stab and rob them. How it's no longer safe to walk their dog in the park or go out as a woman alone without being harassed by invasive Muslims, claiming it to
Patrick's
be their
alright, he's a good troll.
How their native white children got bullied, abused by the foreign populations that outnumber them in our schools. How they could no longer let their kids go out anywhere locally alone as foreign gangs of hostile men have been raping, torturing and selling into sexual slavery native white children on an industrial scale. They will tell you how the local anti-white authorities and constabulary have been complicit in these crimes, refusing to intervene or investigate, allowing these foreigners to commit whatever crimes they want against us with impunity.
Diversity is called for white genocide! Diversity is called for white genocide!
They found as native white British they could get no protection or justice for the crimes that were being committed against them.
Yes!
They'll tell you how as a result, the native British community no longer in effect exists locally, as they've been displaced and replaced after being forced to leave in what has been called white flight. It is in fact the ethnic cleansing of our native white British communities, where they are systematically abused, terrorised, alienated from their environment until they and everything about their existence is removed from what was their home. Yes. This is the reality of what they have the audacity to call diversity and multiculturalism.
I know.
It is in fact the destruction of our way of life and the purposeful eradication of our peoples, the native white, racial, ethnic, national and religious groups of Great Britain. Just 70 years ago, we had only 20,000 peoples of foreign origin in our home. Almost all of them arrived following the end of the Second World War. We had 53 million native Brits in comparison. They made up just 0.3% of our total population. Last year, on average, over 25,000 foreigners entered our country to stay permanently every single week. Every week! That's 100,000 a month. There was over 1 million last year. And that's not even including the thousands of foreign hostile fighting age men that are pouring in our wide open borders illegally.
Exactly! And no one's doing anything!
There are now 67 million people in the UK. Only 44 million of these are native white Brits. That's 9 million less British than we had 70 years ago. Yet we've gone from having 20,000 peoples of foreign origin to over 22 million today, and that's only what the census can account for. All analysis of consumption data would say that their populations are much higher in our lands. The native British have gone from being 99% of our population to just 74% today.
Yeah, because they've killed them all! Criminals, yeah!
A quarter of the people in our homeland 1 in 4, is not native to these lands. They are foreign occupiers that have arrived and then claimed themselves to be British, to then lay claim to everything else that is rightfully ours. Our home, our history, our heritage, our culture. And these people aren't British. We now have a foreign Indian identity thief as Prime Minister, who claims that diversity built Britain, despite the fact the British were already well established as the most accomplished peoples on earth prior to any sort of racial diversity ever existing in Britain. We have a Pakistani mayor of London who tells us that we should just get used to the terror crimes that are committed against us, that it's part and parcel of living in a multicultural society. They love to stand from their positions of power and authority over us in our own lands, telling us that we should just get used to the genocidal violence being committed against us. Like how they tell the victims of the mass targeted, religiously and racially motivated rape of white children that they should shut their mouths for the sake of diversity. We have a Pakistani First Minister of Scotland who gives speeches about how there are too many white men still in positions of power in their own lands. These foreigners are not British. They hate everything that is truly British. And they seek to destroy, defile and eradicate everything that is truly British about Britain. Mostly us, the native British people.
They hate the children. So that's stood for this country and told it straight. Here, here. Here, here.
Let me catch up.
You weren't waiting for. She certainly is. Oh, yeah.
Our native white British populations have already been forcibly made a vulnerable persecuted minority in many of our cities and towns. In our capital city of London, we're just 43% of the population. In Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, Luton, Leicester, native Brits have also found themselves minorities in their own home. Other cities and villages are not far behind as they seek to diversify every corner of our lands, stating there's still too many white faces and white places in Britain. On our current demographic trajectory, in less than a generation, the majority of people under the age of 25 in our lands will be of foreign origin, mostly of African and Asian lineage. Within 2 generations, the native British will become an overall minority in their own home. And this is likely to occur much sooner, with the ever-increasing hordes of foreign replacements invading, combined with the other purposeful efforts of white genocide that our state is committing against us.
We're invaded! We've been invaded! The boats have invaded us!
You look at the state of our homeland today, and how we, the native British people, are treated by these foreign invasive identity thieves, by our globalist puppet state, by all our institutions and the corporations, the hatred, the contempt, the discrimination, the economic exploitation, the persecution and violence that we're subjected to, while we're still a majority in our own lands. What do you think is going to take place when you're an overall minority? You only have to look to what's happened to the white population of South Africa to get a glimpse of what's in store for us if we don't prevent it. The white genocide model of the so-called Rainbow Nation, where the ruling political parties sing songs about killing white people, where white people are excluded from all positions of power and authority, where white families are tortured, raped and killed on a daily basis, and yet the world turns a blind eye, and their once prosperous state is now on the verge of collapse. Ask yourselves this: how has your coerced kindness, generosity, tolerance and forced hospitality been repaid by these foreigners so far? By them attacking, raping, robbing and extorting our people, abusing our hospitality, demanding our history be rewritten, our culture be replaced, that our children are taught to hate their forefathers, nation and race. Oh my God, I get so angry, even thinking about it. You know, really do detest these entitled foreigners that come into our land.
Me too! Me too!
Make no mistake about it, their intent towards us has been made abundantly clear. They gloat and rub in your face your forced demographic demise, celebrating our current time as the last days of the white man.
Raping our kids!
They gaslight and demonize us, calling us evil racists if we dare to impose having the conditions of life imposed upon us that is bringing about the destruction of our peoples, the native white British communities. They will tell us that we don't exist, that there are no native peoples of Britain, that there's no such thing as Anglo-Saxons, when really this is just their wish. I ask you this, do you exist?
Yes!
These traitorous Marxist and identity thief invaders within our midst have purposely left us borderless, defenceless and stripped of almost everything our great forefathers fought for and built, leaving nothing for future generations. No identity, no heritage, no home, nothing. We're being forced through threat of persecution and state-endorsed violence to make these things that are rightfully, exclusively ours and necessary for our continued existence, the property of foreign invasive peoples who show nothing but contempt and genocidal intent towards us in return. These genocidal parasites will, I assure you, in future be held accountable for their crimes and face a righteous justice that is well deserved. A great awakening is taking place across our lands, and we are starting to see a mass awareness and collectivisation of our people that we've not seen for generations. An ever-expanding organic resistance. Oh! It's a good thing that's not the stand, isn't it? An ever-organic resistance to the invasion of our lands, theft of our identity, and the destruction of our unique peoples. The enemy wants you to think that our situation is hopeless, but it is far from. And you realising this is what they fear the most. You shouldn't underestimate what you, the British people, are capable of. You have the blood of conquerors, empire builders, and greatness running through your veins. We, together as a united, organised and focused community, can implement a multiple operational strategy to overcome these existential challenges that we face. Together we can successfully defend the sacred identity, homeland and lineage of our people.
Yes, Oliver.
We will refuse to be silenced, we will refuse to be intimidated, and we will persist with unwavering resolve until we reclaim everything that has been taken from us. No longer will we be able to deceive, gaslight and manipulate our peoples into meekly accepting our eradication. We will stand united against the hordes of hostile, foreign, anti-white extremists, certain and assertive in who we are and what exclusively belongs to us.
Yes.
We will reclaim and defend what is ours without fear or compromise. I know that the road ahead is going to be difficult and perilous, but we will face it head-on with British grit, a stiff upper lip and righteous determination burning within our hearts. Together we can achieve what many believe to be impossible, and we will have these anti-white globalist criminals trembling in the face of our relentless pursuit, and we will once again claim the mastery over our destiny as a peoples. Thank you.
Once again, fantastic speech there. Once again.
Well done.
Right, and yes, gentlemen,